Hey, race fans, welcome to another episode of Backseat Drivers. I have a whole gaggle of guys here. We have Danny V, Jonathan, and Chase. Kurt Busch gets it done at Vegas, his hometown track. I know it was such an exciting night for that one team. Celebrates in a helicopter. What a way to go out on your hometown track. But what does this do for the rest of the playoffs? Because he went from the best or the worst to now the best and has locked himself into the round of 8. It has to be quite a shakeup.
Well, he puts his brother in a bad spot, and he makes everybody else that, isn't Kevin Harvick or Denny Hamlin extremely nervous. Now, there are a lot of guys who are going to have a lot of confidence at Talladega and the Roval coming up. Team Penske's always fast at Talladega. Chase Elliott's good at Dega and the Roval, and Bowman showed promise at both racetracks too. But, whether you or not you think you're going to have to be lucky or good at these two racetracks, you're going to have to finish, and odds are we're going to have a lot of people have the potential not to finish and have bad points days. Stage points are always wacky at super speedways and at road courses. Those are going to factor in huge the next 2 weeks, and they could come down to making or breaking someone's season. So it's a lot up in the air. I would rather be Kurt Busch right now than anybody else in the Cup Series, that's for sure, at least for the next 2 weeks.
Yeah, I think for me, I'm a little concerned about the Penske guys. Yeah, they usually run both really well at Talladega, but they didn't have the day in Vegas that I guess I expected of them. I thought that maybe they would be contending for the win, but not even a top 10 for both Logano and Keselowski. And, anything can happen at Talladega. Anything can happen at the Roval. And they're not too good on the cut line. I think they're, maybe 12 points at most good for the cut line. So a bad day at either of those tracks, and it's not looking good for the Penske guys.
I'm interested to see that end of stage 1 at Talladega, how intense that's going to be, because when you're not yet on the tow truck, you're not having to worry about maybe the big one yet that early, but you're going for those stage points. So what can we expect from the SUPERSPEEDWay? Because it's going to be crazy. It is only the second race, but Merriman and I talked about it earlier on the preview show that this might be a cutoff race for some teams. If you have a bad enough start to Talladega or even a bad enough finish to Talladega, you can't make that up at the Roval.
Yeah, this is cutoff A for round 2. There's just 2 of them. There's cutoff A and cutoff B. You don't want to go into the Roval, Austin Dillon right now is 32 points back. He doesn't want to go into Charlotte racing at the Roval with a 32-point buffer because, honestly, you're going to have to win to make that up because 3 guys in front of you are going to have bad luck and somebody above that cut line. So you're going to have to be aggressive at Talladega. I think that, we've seen that laying back doesn't necessarily work out. A lot of times those Gibbs cars do lay back and do that. I do think that that it's going to be every man for himself. Harvick is basically okay. Hamlin is 58 points, above the cut line. But this is the playoffs. This is a selfish time of year. I don't think we're going to see any teammates, helping teammates. This is about going and getting the win. Now, they may do this to get a couple stage points, but, it's every man for himself. It's going to have to be a very selfish game at Talladega, and you're not going to have to be out here to make friends.
I tell you one thing, going into Talladega, I'd be happy if I was a Ford driver because Ford has won 9 of the last 10 races at Talladega. And then looking in the playoffs, you have Joey Logano and Brad Keselowski each with 2 wins apiece. And then also their teammate, who's not in the playoffs anymore, obviously, Ryan Blaney, also has the past 2 wins at Talladega. So they're definitely going to be have a strong showing. And then Eric Almirola, he won in the fall of 2018 to make it into the round of 8 at Talladega. So he knows how to get it done when the pressure's on the line. And he hasn't finished outside the top 10 since before the fall of 2016. So those are between Logano, Keselowski, and Almirola. Those are 3 guys, all blue ovals, that I'm really looking at this Sunday.
I think Alex Weaver said it best that, the stage points are very much important for everybody. You look at an Alex Bowman so far, I think what's carried him as high as he is right now is the fact that he has gotten things together and been up there in the stages. Like the first round, he was in the top 10, top 5 for pretty much every stage there in that round. And granted, at Bristol, he had a bad moment that, might have held anyone else back, but he gained so many stage points, it kind of gave him a buffer. And even in yesterday at Las Vegas, he did the same thing. Was top 10, top 5 most of the day, and held on to get a good finish. So he's proving that those stage points are very important. Now Talladega is going to be a chance for, someone like an Austin Dillon, who's not off to a good start right now, to be up there in the top 5 all day and take advantage of those, free points basically.
And I owe Danny B all the credit in the world, too. He's the only person in America that picked the 88 to do what the 88's doing. So I don't know if he's got a crystal ball or what. But
call it bias because I'm a fan. But, hey, I had a feeling that the 88 team could get things going when they needed the most. Now, granted, it's far from over. But, I mean, I called the success of the 88. I called the downfall of the 12. So
genius.
And throwing out my full name there, making me feel like I'm in trouble to separate me from Bowman. I can handle it, but it caught me a little off guard there in the beginning. But
I didn't mean to do that. I didn't want to get too casual or anything.
Yeah. Okay, Merriman, I want you to put on your team owner hat, and let's go around here. If you are a team owner, how much energy and effort are you putting in for the cars that aren't necessarily in the playoffs that you still own? How much energy goes into helping the guys that still are in the playoffs? I'm looking at Hendrick, Team Penske, and Joe Gibbs.
I don't know. It just depends, how far your thought process is. First place pays a lot more than second or third does, and it doesn't matter if you're in the playoffs or not. Having said that, winning a championship will make you a lot more money than just winning at Talladega. So I think they're able to build these cars so similar. So I don't necessarily think you invest more time into one or the other, especially for a race like a super speedway. I think maybe going down the line to the Roval, you might put a little bit more R&D to the cars that are still in there. But, trust me, I'm not working the back ends of these shops or anything, but look, once you're working on 2 or 3 cars, what's putting resources into another one? I mean, you're already doing it. I mean, I got 2 kids, and, I feel like if I had 1 or 2 more kids, I'd still be spending the same time chasing kids around. So that's my philosophy on that.
1 is 1, 2 is 10. That's what I hear.
That's about how it feels. So I imagine owning race cars is probably the same way.
Well, I don't have any kids, and I'm also an only child, so I'm going to be selfish. And I think if you look especially at the Team Penske bunch, with Blaney not being in the playoffs, but he's had the past 2 victories at Talladega, I don't really think he's going to go out of his way to really help his teammates, because Logano and Keselowski kind of bully him around sometimes, and they're still looking to win races in that 12 camp. So if you're looking at like Penske, I think it's going to be every man for himself. Yeah, they're going to draft each other and all that stuff and help each other out a little bit and try to link up. But when it comes down to the very end, and if they're all there trying to battle for the win, don't expect any favors from your teammates, especially in that Penske camp for sure.
Yeah, definitely don't expect any favors from teammates, especially you look at Hendrick Motorsports. Yeah, they've got a chance to get 2 of their cars into the round of 8 now, but they've also got a retiring 7-time champion who could see Talladega as circled to be his chance to get his last win. So if I'm Hendrick Motorsports, I'm throwing all I got at all 4 cars.
I think the big thing here is don't cost somebody else a chance to win a title or a chance to win. Be as selfish as you want to. Race them, don't wreck them.
You don't have to work for me, but don't work against me. I think that's what Darrell Waltrip said one time. So that applies here for sure.
All right, well, we're heading to Talladega. It's the second race for the round of 12, and then next up's the Roval. But first, you got to make it through the big one. That's looming on Sunday at 2 p.m. Eastern on NBC. If you're watching Talladega, anybody send Merriman a pork chop.
Please.
We'll see you guys right back here on another episode of Backseat Drivers.